Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Dennis Adegunloye. This news can be viewed on our various social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Let's begin with the headlines. Nigeria joins the world in observing 2024 Cancer Day with the theme Close the Care Gap. President Hage Geingob of Namibia passes on at 82. And European Union ministers of foreign affairs hold first informal meeting of 2024 in Brussels. Africa on the agenda. All right, let's begin with health matters, and many will agree that one of the greatest scares to human health is that of cancer. The disease, according to the World Health Organization, has continued to claim lives as it ravages mostly in places with low awareness and access to healthcare services. As 2024 World Cancer Day is commemorated, Chidiebere Onia takes a look at the cancer scourge and the progressive initiatives to reduce the burden of the disease.
As experts put it, cancer is a disease that can manifest in almost any organ or tissue of the body as a result of uncontrollable growth of abnormal cells. World Cancer Day, usually observed every 4th of February, is therefore to inspire greater awareness, promote research, prevent cancer, and improve patient care.
Cancer is an abnormal growth of cells, and it can affect all the organs, different organs of the body, including the hair.
In Nigeria, breast and cervical cancer are the most common in women, while prostate cancer is persistent in men. However, despite government's efforts in implementing policies and programs aimed at improving cancer care, experts say more still needs to be done to increase access to cancer detection and treatment.
Every average Nigerian or female in the world should lay hand on her breast for checkup, examination, massaging, feeling, pipetting, whatever you call it to suit your own brain. It should be what? That regularity should be there.
As the 2024 World Cancer Day is observed, health authorities stress the need for people to work together in order to reduce cancer risk factors and overcome its barriers through early diagnosis, treatment and palliative care. In Port Harcourt, Chidiebere Onia, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, has called on Nigerians to continue to show empathy, care, love and support for cancer patients and survivors, even as the country creates more awareness and advocacy for better service delivery. She made the call to mark this year's World Cancer Day, noting that the celebration presents an important opportunity to raise awareness and elaborate further on the message of prevention, early detection and treatment of cancer. The First Lady says the theme for this year, Closing the Care Gap, speaks to the fact that more needs to be done to put in place the necessary infrastructure to address these health challenges towards providing better care for cancer patients and survivors. Well, joining me via Zoom live to speak more on World Cancer Day is the Chief Executive Officer of Medicaid Cancer Foundation and board member, Union for International Cancer Control. She is Dr. Zainab Shinkafi Bagudu. Glad to have you on NTA International.
It's a pleasure to be here on this World Cancer Day 2024.
All right, the theme for World Cancer Day campaign, Close the Care Gap, started in 2022 and will end this year. Tell us what you make of this theme, and do you think the gap is closing?
Well, as you mentioned in my introduction, I am a board member of the Union for International Cancer Control, and the World Cancer Day is the creation of the Union for International Cancer Control. The theme came about as a result of the obvious discrepancies that exist between the high-income countries and the low-income countries when it comes to cancer care across spectrum. When I say across spectrum, I mean in terms of awareness, in terms of screening, in terms of ability to diagnose, in terms of treatment for the disease, the various modalities of treatment when you look at surgery, chemotherapy, and of course radiotherapy, and then palliative care. So each of these pillars I've mentioned, if we pick it one by one, and whichever part, high-income country and the low-income country that you look at, there is a wide disparity. So we felt that we should bring attention to this, and this call on the consciences of governments and civil society organizations, development partners, and all the stakeholders that are involved in improving cancer control to do something. This year, the final year, like you said, there is that call to action that you can actually sign up on, and it goes directly to the leaders, the ministers of health that are responsible in each country to allocate more funding for cancer control, to allocate, aside from financial resources, human resources, train more staff, create screening policies for national screening policies, and the obvious ones like vaccination and so on. There's a huge burden on governments, but then there are other stakeholders involved in it as well. So yes, closing the gap to answer your initial question, but not as fast as we need to. But this is not surprising. Cancer is a very complex and expensive disease, but we must remain doggedly persistent in an organized way, and that's what people like myself and other laudable civil society organizations in the space are doing globally.
All right, Dr. Bagudu, as a board member of the Union for International Cancer Control, and of course many other bodies that are in the fight against cancer, what do you think, apart from what you said, we're not doing presently, and what can be done differently in addition to what you've already said?
Okay, I think that first of all, there needs to be more cohesion and strategizing amongst all the stakeholders. We're working in silos. It's ongoing in Nigeria by different people, different sectors that I have mentioned, but we're not coming together, and there is a primary responsibility on certain coordinating parts of government to bring all this together so that we can really realize how much we're doing. We're not allocating enough resources in terms of funding, and then when all the time I feel that cancer is not a priority with the government, and we talk about it. But when it comes to the actual policies, there have been some good ones. It's not as much as other sectors and the impacts that we're seeing in other sectors. When you take cancer on its own, yet it's a big cause of death, and we can do more. And the reason why we need to do more for cancer is because the people themselves cannot do much because of the nature of the disease. So we need to really help people and, like you said, show more empathy to cancer patients.
All right, lastly, Dr. Zainab, like you said, the call is to continue to show empathy, care and love, and as well as support for cancer patients. What do you think of this, and what is your call to all in the campaign, as creating more awareness as well as advocacy is believed to be the key?
The key is to do something. Show empathy, show love, but then also have actionable actions, things that we can see on ground. It's good to show empathy, but it's also good to have some action that can be measured, measurable action, particularly by the governments and other development partners. We are all believers. In the Bible, it says faith without work is dead. So we keep on showing love, we keep on showing faith, but we're not doing any real work. And then we need to do more work and really look at what we have on ground and what more can we do. What is the reality? How many more machines can we afford in Nigeria? How many more radiotherapy centers can we afford to open realistically? What are we going to do about the brain drain and all the professionals that are going abroad? We need to look at all these things, and then we can really continue to show empathy. While we're showing empathy, there needs to be action.
Definitely, more action is the key. Dr. Zainab Bagudu, many thanks for taking the time to talk to us and sharing your perspectives. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Now, the Ekiti State government has confirmed the release of school children of Apostolic Faith Nursery and Primary School who were kidnapped last week alongside their teachers. Governor Biodun Oyebanji says the children and their teachers were released in the early hours of Sunday and brought to the Limuru Palace around 4 a.m. He, however, announced that the driver of the school bus was reportedly killed in the custody of the kidnappers. The governor has thanked the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, security agencies and the people of the state for their support, which led to the timely release of the kidnapped pupils from the school. In the meantime, the Ekiti State Commissioner for Health and Human Services, Dr. Oyebanji Filani, says the 5 abducted school children of the Apostolic Faith Nursery and Primary School, Ekiti, and their teachers who regained freedom in the early hours are in a stable condition. The Commissioner stated this while addressing the press at the State University Teaching Hospital at Ekiti, where the rescued victims are receiving medical attention and post-trauma therapy. Ayodeji Ogunshakin reports.
The 5 adopted school children of the Apostolic Faith Nursery and Primary School in Ekiti and their teachers regained their freedom in the wee hours of today, Sunday, around 2 in a forest in neighboring Ondo State. They were, however, taken to the State University Teaching Hospital at Ekiti for medical attention and post-trauma therapy, while the Commissioner for Health and Women's Services, Dr. Oyebanji Filani, said the children and their teachers are in stable condition.
They are all very stable at the moment, as you would have seen when we came in about 2 hours ago. All of them are in stable condition, and we have a team of doctors, a multidisciplinary team actually, currently attending to every one of them, ensuring that whatever is required to make them to continue to remain in a stable state is done.
The State Governor Biodun Oyebanji appreciated the efforts of the combined security agencies and the local security network to secure the release of the victims and promised that government will not rest until the perpetrators are arrested and made to face the full wrath of the law.
I've gone around, I've looked at all of them, they're stable, and they'll be here until they are found to be medically fit to go back home. We are going to have a security meeting to ensure that this does not happen again.
He urged people of the states to remain vigilant and report any suspicious movements in their communities to the authorities. However, the driver of the school bus was reportedly killed in the custody of the kidnappers. In Ado Ekiti, Ayodeji Ogunshakin, NTA News.
The FCT Minister of State, Dr. Maria Mahmood, has assured residents of the territory that efforts are in place by the FCT administration to address insecurity across the territory, and positive results will soon come about. Aisha Ubali reports that the minister gave the assurance when she paid a sympathy visit to the family of Al-Qadriya Mansour, whose daughters were recently released after several days in the kidnappers' den.
It was a surprise for the Al-Qadriya family to see the number 2 citizen of the FCT in their home. The minister was happy to interface with the family.
His Excellency Barrister Nsumekere has been on his feet. We've been doing all the necessary to improve on our security situation in FCT, including the satellite towns and also the city itself.
She, however, expressed satisfaction over the victim's state of health, noting that they are in a stable condition.
We've come to support the family and to tell them that we have sympathized with them, and then the administration of FCT is with them.
In his response, the father of the children, who was also a victim, Malam Al-Qadriya Mansour, thanked the minister for the show of love, even as he called on the administration to extend the same to other victims.
Nigerian police force needs to be empowered more, especially those in the rural, not in the city centers. What they are having in their hand, the equipment they have, cannot really measure with what the criminals are using nowadays.
The minister was accompanied by the Mandate Secretary, Women Affairs Secretariat, Adedayo Benjamin Slani, the Director, FCT Reforms Coordination and Service Improvement, Dr. Juma Amadou, and the Deputy Director in charge of Child Development, Mr. Idris Yahaya. In Abuja, Aisha Ubali, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. We'll have a short break. More reports in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the United States have called on President Macky Sall of Senegal to fix another date for the presidential election. This call comes as the president announced the indefinite postponement of the election scheduled for February 25th. Musa Baba Aliyu has more.
President Macky Sall is not among the contenders of the earlier scheduled presidential elections. He has completed his terms as required by the country's constitution. However, few days before the start of the campaigns, Macky Sall, in a nationwide broadcast, announced an indefinite postponement of the election date.
The 3 février 2024.
He said his decision was based on allegations against 2 Constitutional Council judges whose integrity in the election process has been questioned.
106, the 3 février 2024.
Macky Sall said, "I will bring an open national dialogue to bring together the conditions for a free, transparent, and inclusive election." A November 23 decree signed by Sall set the election for February 25, with 20 candidates in the running, but 2 major opposition figures excluded. Some of the candidates, especially from the opposition parties, were not happy with the development.
C'est le centre de la démocratie. Ce pays qui était devenu une référence.
Tieno Alassane Sall, head of an opposition party, said the move amounts to what he described as a treason against the republic.
Pour qu'on en arrive à cette situation-ci.
To this end, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has expressed concern over the circumstances that led to the postponement of the presidential election in Senegal scheduled for 25th February 2024. A statement by the ECOWAS Commission is appealing to authorities concerned to expedite action on various processes to set a new date for the elections. The Commission urges the entire political class to prioritize dialogue and collaborate for transparency, inclusiveness, and hold credible elections. Similarly, the United States hoped that Senegal would announce a new date for the presidential election without delay. In a statement by the U.S. Department of Bureau African Affairs, stated that all participants in Senegal's electoral process should engage peacefully in the important effort to safely set a new date and conditions for a timely, free, and fair elections. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, European Union ministers of foreign affairs have held their first informal meeting of the year in Brussels. Harman Jabani brings us some of the issues discussed at the 2-day meeting, chaired by Josep Borrell, EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy.
The foreign meeting of the EU foreign ministers, known as GMIC, takes place once every 6 months. The European Union High Representative Josep Borrell chairs the informal meeting of the EU foreign ministers hosted by the Belgian presidency of the EU at the Egmont Palace in Brussels. Ministers commenced with a working session on EU-African relations to exchange views on the EU's approach to the countries in the continent, support and partnership to strengthen mutual cooperation. It also looked at reinforcing a representative international rule-based order, as well as contributing to solving regional crisis and stability of the Sahel, especially the war in Sudan. Other issues including the raging situation in the Horns of Africa, with the need to rethink approach to Africa to offer more cooperation and understanding that the stability of Africa's state is part of EU security.
African countries are more than neighbors, they are real partners, and we have to explore how we can reinforce our cooperation to share a vision as we are facing the same challenging time when it comes about energy transition, new digital transition, and when it comes about migration, about instability in the Sahel, for instance.
Ministers also deliberated on EU's long-term strategy for Ukraine, reflecting on various aspects of the ongoing Russia aggression, the EU's continued military and diplomatic support to Ukraine, and its progress on the EU's accession paths.
How to implement our military support both bilaterally and through the European Peace Facility. Member States has already provided Ukraine with 28 billion of support, and for this year it's more than 20 billions. So we have to understand how this is going to go, through bilateral, through European Peace Facility, which is the top-up. The member state will agree for the European Peace Facility. And then UNRWA, Gaza.
We all know that the tensions are high, but on the other hand, there must be clear messages against the Houthi rebels that we under no circumstances can accept attack on civil shipping, and that's why we Europeans, the Americans, the United Kingdoms and other international partners, we're in this together.
The last thematic session was dedicated to EU's relations with Turkey, where ministers discussed on the way forward in building a partnership based on mutual interest and potential for cooperation, as well as reflecting on domestic and regional challenges. The forum engaged participants on several key climate and environmental challenges. These include green transition, climate change mitigation and climate adaptation, renewable energy efficiency, green shipping and sustainable tourism, as well as issues and special emphasis on reducing the environmental footprint of tourism. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Vice President Nangolo Mbumba has been sworn in as the fourth president of Namibia following the demise of Hage Geingob, who passed away Sunday morning at the age of 82. Musa Baba Ali reports.
Namibia is in a state of mourning following the death of the country's president, Hage Geingob. His death was announced by the Vice President, Nangolo Mbumba, this Sunday. Although the exact cause of his death was not announced, but in January 2024, he underwent a 2-day treatment for cancerous cells in the United States. Born in 1941, late Geingob was Namibia's longest-serving prime minister and the country's third president. Geingob became president in 2015 and was in his second and final term in office. Going by the constitution of the country, the vice president, Nangolo Mbumba, took over as an acting president as their last term in office elapses next year. In the meantime, leaders around the world have been sending their condolences, among them Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa. Ramaphosa described late Namibian president as a touring veteran of Namibia's liberation from colonialism. Similarly, President Vladimir Putin of Russia consoles the government and people of Namibia over President Geingob's death. Putin in a letter says it is difficult to overestimate his personal contribution to the development of friendly relations between Namibia and Russia. Other leaders who sent their condolences include President Ruto of Kenya, Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe, and President Abbas of Palestine, among others. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And President Bola Tinubu, on behalf of the government and people of Nigeria, extends deep condolences to the government and people of Namibia over the passing of President Hage Geingob. President Tinubu, in a statement, mourns the death of the man he described as a veteran in the struggle for democracy, a proponent of good governance and an advocate of economic, social and political solidarity among African people. The president notes that the death of Geingob comes at a time when Africa needs more visionary leaders who believe in the common destiny of the continent and who can strengthen bonds across borders and spread the tendrils of cooperation across all fields of human endeavor. And now for stories trending in the world of sports, it's over to Suleiman Musa. And next is a check on Monday's weather prospects for Nigeria and some world cities. And this is where we end the news on NTA International. Thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adegunloye.